Right, so here's a routine for building your shoulders with just body weight movements. We have a lot of pushing motions for the anterior or front delts first of all, as well as a few variations of ring exercises to hit the rear delts. Anything you can do on rings, you can do on cables as well for the most part, minus the ring muscle ups of course. Ring movements for the rotator cuff as well as the rear delts, okay, so we're not leaving out the rear delts. Usually you overwork the front delts with all the pressing motions you do, and the rear delts get neglected, but not in this one. This is a well-rounded shoulder workout just using body weight. Okay, so here's my normal routine for stretching out my wrists and forearms. If you see, I'm just placing my palms down in front of me and then I'm leaning forward to stretch them, ease off like that. You'll notice also as well, with your hand positioning, if you tense your fingers, you'll be going backwards. If you tense your palms, if you generate force through your palms, you'll be going forwards, okay? So bear this in mind when we're doing the handstand positioning on the back to wall or chest to wall handstands, but we'll get to that in a second. So with the wrist stretch, the further forward you lean with your hands in this position, the more you're going to feel it. The further back you lean, if you have your palms facing forward and your fingers facing towards you, the further back you lean, you'll stretch them, okay? So just mess around with these hand positions. You can do them sideways, you can have them however you want. I'd advise spending around 15 to 20 seconds in these positions for your wrists to stretch them out properly. So now for the shoulders and the rotator cuff muscles, we will be using skin the cats with a German hang at the end of it if you can. I'd advise you hold the German hang for about 4 seconds. If you can't get yourself all the way back like I am here, I would advise you just come back gently. Don't do the full movement to start, just come back bit by bit. When you feel like your shoulder stability is there and your flexibility is there, bring yourself back further, okay? But don't try to do the full motion to start if you don't feel like you can, because you're going to injure yourself. Right, we want no injuries. I repeat that, no injuries. And for the skin the cat, you'll want to be grabbing the bar about shoulder apart. You want to leave enough room so you can thread your knees through your hands, okay? You're trying to pull the bar down to the floor as we move our knees up. So pull the bar to the floor, bring your knees up and through, and then straighten the body as you can into the German hang position. As straight as you can get yourself. Like I said again, don't worry about doing the full motion to start. If you can only just bring yourself through and back again, just do that. So as I mentioned, we're not going crazy with the handstand element here. We're mainly working on the pushing strength, but what I would advise doing just to get yourself in good habits is to invert yourself at the start of the workout and try and hold a assisted handstand against the wall for as long as you can. We've got a few different variations of this. You can do a chest to wall handstand, but that involves you having the strength to walk yourself up the wall effectively. You also have the back to wall handstand, okay? Back to wall handstand is much easier to get into as you can just kick yourself up into that position. However, it may form some bad habits for you. If you're doing a chest to wall handstand, you have more of the position. Your body needs to be in a position like this if we're doing the handstand, okay? It comes up straight and then it comes down like this angle to press with. If we have our chest to the wall, we can emulate that position perfectly. If we have the back to the wall, we'll tend to put our feet against the wall and have an arch in the back, right? Which is not what we want for the handstand push-up. Like I said, we're not doing the handstand push-up now. If you can, great. But we're working towards it, okay? So bit by bit, we will get there, but we don't want to form bad habits to start off with. And make sure your shoulder blades are elevated, right, near your ears. You want to be pushing as hard as you can down and try and hold the handstand for as long as you can against the wall, okay? If you can do about 30 seconds, we're good. You can do 20, we're good. As long as you give it a go, just try get yourself inverted, get used to being upside down, it will benefit you massively, okay? And like I said as well, with the hands, make sure you're practicing pushing through the fingers and then pushing through the palms as well. So the first exercise we have is the hardest one, of course, because that's what we do here. Hardest exercise will always come first. We're doing the handstand push-up against the wall. If you can do them freestanding, go for it. But I'm assuming you can't. I have trouble with them as well, right? I can do maybe 2 if I'm lucky. If I'm lucky, I can do 2 repetitions on a freestanding handstand push-up. But it's not my strong point, so I like to use the wall still. What I do with the back to wall handstand is I have one leg bent and the foot facing the wall, and I have the other one straight next to it, right? Because like I said, we don't want to be arching the back, so I try and keep my body as straight as I can during that motion. Chest to wall handstand, like I said, that will emulate the position of the proper full freestanding handstand push-up. So if you can go into the chest to wall position, I would advise you do so to form good habits early on, right? So we're trying to hit 8 repetitions for 3 sets. on the handstand push-ups. It's hard, I know, but you can do it. If you can't do that, start with the next exercise, right? So following the handstand push-up, we have the elevated pike press. We're going for 10 repetitions for 3 sets for the elevated pike press. So let's explain what the pike position is so you have a good understanding of that first of all. It's effectively a forward fold, right? So we're just folding at the hips, going all the way down. It's a very good stretch for your hamstrings as well. If you're doing a normal hamstring stretch, you just touch your toes, right? It's basically a hamstring stretch where you touch your toes and then some, okay? Requires a lot of core strength as well as your quadriceps here, especially on the top. You'll notice a lot of cramping if you're not used to it. If your quads aren't very flexible, if your legs are quite tight, you will notice the cramping on there when you try and get into that fold position. But we're not doing a full pike position here. You can see me doing one here. It looks quite strange, I know, but it's good, okay? It's good and it's a skill we need to learn eventually. It's used in competitive diving a lot. If you search pike position, that's where you'll probably be directed to, is a diving website. Pike position, the further you move your feet towards your hands, the harder it's going to be for you. The end goal here is the handstand push-up, which involves your full weight being stacked above your hips, right? And then above your shoulders. So the further we walk forward, the more weight we shift on top of our hips and our shoulders, the more weight we have to press, the harder it will be. If it's too hard for you, walk your feet backwards. If it's too easy, walk your feet forward. We want to be focusing on leaning forward on the press up, okay? You don't want to be just coming straight down here, because that's not how you do a handstand push-up when we do a full one, right? Like I said, we have that angle. With that angle, you dip forward. Your head needs to come forward. It's the same thing with the pike press up. So when you get to the bottom of the movement, lean forward as far as you can. When you come up, go into a full, when you come up, go into the full position of the handstand if you can, right? So elevate the shoulders near the ears. We want to be fully extending on that, okay? More bang for our buck. And this elevated pike press can be performed on any height object. The higher the object is, the more difficult it's going to be because you have more of your weight shifted above, right? Gravity's taking less of it, you're taking more of it. Do the press and you'll feel your feet just coming off the floor like that, floating basically. So we've done a good bit of pressing so far for the anterior delts. So what we want to do now is focus on the rear delts, the back of the shoulder. We've got to balance this out, right? So we're doing rear delt flies on the rings. As I said, these can be done on cable. And a little tip on this one, we want to be grabbing the rings with a neutral grip. So where I've gone over false grip and neutral grip before, we want to be in the neutral grip, because what we need to do is rotate the hands through the motion, so we maintain tension on the straps at all times. We don't want to take ourselves out of tension. We want to be under tension for the majority of the movement, or all the movement in this case. So you do have a dumbbell variation of these exercises. You have the rear delt flies where you just bend forward and then do a fly like that. However, gravity has a different impact at different levels of that movement. It's not consistent throughout. If we maintain tension on the rings, the tension is consistent throughout, so we'd have more consistent gains from that, right? It's not like one part is easy and then it gets harder as you reach a certain point when you come up. It's not like there's no curve on it, it's just a consistent output of force, okay? And you can use rings or a TRX, a suspension trainer, anything like that, it will work just fine, as long as you've got two handles that you can pull apart, okay? If you see a fly machine in a gym, you can just do reverse, sit on it from reverse and then do it that way. It's the same movement. Starting with about shoulder width apart, right? Turn the rings this way. Just bring the arms back, bring the hands back, keeping them back straight all times, okay? Once the rear delt flights are done, we go back to pike press-ups. Not elevated ones this time, just standard pike press-ups. The difficulty on these exercises, like all bodyweight exercises, are scalable. So like I say, if it's too hard for you, walk your feet back from your hands. If it's too easy for you, walk your feet towards your hands, okay? You can adjust this as you want. So remember what I said about the handstand push-ups as well as the elevated pike press-ups. You want to be leaning forward as much as you can, okay? People normally put like a ring or something in front of them as a target for their chin to hit. So you'll make sure you're getting that correct range of motion in. And like I said again, when you come to the top of the movement, fully extend the arms, push down hard, elevate the shoulders to the ears, right? Keep that tension. Here we have another motion for hitting the rear delts, as well as the upper back and the abdominals, of course, because we're keeping the body straight throughout this motion. We have the Y pull. because you do this. It's a Y. We're pulling from here up to the Y, okay? Whereas before we were pulling from here all the way straight out, now we're going up. So with the dumbbell variations of these fly movements, we would have gravity making it very hard at the top of the movement, and then as it comes down, gravity makes it easier for us, right? We don't want that. We want a consistent load throughout. We want to maintain tension on the rings at all times. That's why they're good for these movements. Again, hands back, shoulder width apart. We want to be retracting the scapula as we're doing a pulling motion, right? Remember that? Protracting if you're pushing and retracting if you are pulling. So you want to be keeping that core engaged, back straight, keeping the core engaged throughout the movement. Again, like I said, this is not the rear delt fly, so raising them in a Y position, not back here. Y pull, rear delt fly. Okay, and then finally we show the rotator cuff some love, as it does play a very important role in keeping our shoulders stable and in place. The neutral grip, as we've been doing on these rings, lean back as far as you can. Again, more upright you are, the easier the motion's going to be. So if it's too easy for you, walk yourself in and get more of an angle there, right? Phase pulls, we want to be depressing and retracting the scapula. If we're up here more, we're hitting the rear delts, okay? We want to be down, okay? Pulling through this range of motion. Got it? So from your chosen position, we want to be retracting and depressing the scapula. Pull the rings towards you as you bring the elbows backwards, okay? We're raising our hands to around ear height for the external rotation on the shoulders. We've got a lot of stuff that does internal rotation, but we don't have too much external. And the face pulls fill that role perfectly. For the movement, your arms should be in line with your elbows, below the shoulders, right? Below the shoulders. Not here, below. I would say the face pull is an essential exercise for strengthening your rotator cuffs and keeping them healthy, so make sure you do them, okay? But anyway, that is a well-rounded, or what I would consider to be a well-rounded shoulder workout with just your body weight and some rings, of course. Very basic piece of equipment. So we hit the shoulders from every angle we can effectively with the pike presses. We've got the rear delts involved there. We've got the face pulls for the rotator cuffs. We've got it all, okay? And as usual, if you enjoyed the video, if you could leave me a like or subscribe, or both, I'd be very thankful for that. I'm making these videos very frequently and I'm having a lot of fun doing them. Still, I say that every time, but I'm still having fun doing them. So they'll keep coming. So if you've enjoyed it, drop me a sub, like the video, all that good stuff. You can also find me on Instagram at Primitive Rage. I do also stream on Twitch, however, I'm having some issues with technical problems, even though I've got the Wi-Fi booster in my garden, literally 2 meters away from my phone. So there shouldn't be any issues, but I'm trying to get those sorted. But I am still streaming over there when I have the time to do so, which is most days. If I'm being honest, it's most days. I normally try and fit one in. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, like I said, again, I'm going to say again, because nobody's subscribing to me at the moment, but they're watching the videos. So what more can I ask for? If you enjoyed it, subscribe. Anyway, take it easy, and I will see you very soon. Sorry about the shirtless one today. It's very sweaty. I didn't want to put a t-shirt on. It's like 8 PM at this point. I'm about to shower. I just wanted to get this out of the way. So, it's done now. Okay, I'll see you later.